Chris. Yes, po.
This is not a question but a suggestion. I've done similar things for tsunami, and I think we need to combine coastal hazards, research and tsunami in the policies. The problem with high risk or very critical infrastructures, we cannot avoid building them in near sea level areas, and if they cannot be moved, I would suggest that we look at the risk in the use, especially by floors, so we can actually approach it that way, so that people can still access hospitals or facilities, schools, but make them taller and resilient not only to earthquakes, typhoons, but also surges and so on.
Thank you, Secretary. And yes, that's correct. Architecture and engineering can also be part of the solution. In some areas where it's hurricane areas in the US, for example, they have started building circular buildings instead, because apparently the pressure difference between the pressure difference between the external and internal during a hurricane event is much less, and therefore the roofs do not go up, nor do the windows. Thank you for that.
Are there other questions from?
Laura, congratulations on the father ng naging paper. Ang tanong ko ay simple. Ang tagal ko nang narinig ang mga tinuring ng umaga. Pero ang katanungan ko ay hindi ko ba nagsasawa. At doon sa mga nakaraang pamahalaan, sino ang more or less nakinig sa iyong mga payo?
Nakakatakot sagutin yung pangalawa. Hindi ko ako nagsasawa kasi first and foremost, teacher po ako. I think that has helped me because I've learned that you can just keep trying to teach, and eventually even the government agencies start to listen and start to respond accordingly. Medyo may inertia lang, sir. So, agapin na lang natin yung inertia. Yung second, sir, actually madami-dami naman na mga communities na pag magaling ang mayor, magaling ang response natin. For example, yung study kanina na pinakita sa Del Carmen. So Del Carmen is one of the really good LGUs that are responding well. Not only are they taking all this seriously, pero yung mangroves na pinakita kanina, yung study kanina, yung mangroves kasi nakita na nila Jolie Yolanda, it actually helped lessen the strength of it. Kumakit pa rin yung tubig, pero naipsan yung lakas ng storm surge. And the Carmen has taken that seriously and keeps planting mangrove and making sure that there's still that buffer. So marami lang, sir, pag ang local executive ay nakikinig sa siyensya, magaling ang response.
Alright, ipula ko nila sa aking mamaya. Among the local government near the sea coast, how many really are responding to these beautiful words of wisdom that you share with them?
Ang advantage namin, sir, ay na-incorporate na sa enhanced CLUP yung mga sinabi namin, diba? So, yung mga gumagawa na ng kanilang EQ ay sunod-sunod. Kahit nakikita na nila yung tapos na kailangan para mag-respond sa case. Ang problema natin, sir, actually are the bigger municipalities that already have development na high investments near the coast. Kasi syempre, for them, ang laki na ng bills nila doon. Mahirap naman na ikat na naman yung mga yun. So yun ang, unfortunately, sometimes it takes a tragedy before they start responding.
In Luzon, which municipality really improved a lot in
Sir, sa Luzon, maganda yung response. Actually, sa marami na maganda ang naging response, for example, ng Masinloc. Masinloc is quite progressive. Kasi sinunod talaga nila yung protection of their coastal habitats. And makikita nyo yung road. Sinasabi ko nga sa karamihan sir ng West Luzon, sinasabi ko sa mga tao, pag nagkaroon ng storm surge or tsunami warning, tawirin nyo yung highway. Kasi after the highway, tama na yung elevation. So nandun yung highway sa break between low-lying and high, except maybe for 2 or 3 municipalities na ano pa rin, may inundate pa rin dito after the highway. So yung pagtawid na yun, so tama yung plan.
Again, congratulations on your award.
Thank you, sir. Salamat po.
Very happy to learn all about these things. Thank you very much and God bless you.
Para makatulong sa yung tanong. Actually, this is very important. So one of the big programs of DOST is really to help intervene in the planning using science and technology in all cities and municipalities. So we have 2 programs. We have the Innovation iStart program to help infuse science and technology in the planning of all those interested. But for every town, for every province, we now have pilot smart and sustainable community development, cities or towns. And my instruction to our regional and provincial offices was to incorporate not only the land use plans, but also the coastal plans. So I think it would be good to have you maybe talk to our regional directors on how they can actually utilize your suggestions. And I also think that in some cases we have more advanced information on hazards. So, and we can combine this with what you have. I'm actually planning to build a bigger geospatial analytics platform beyond GeoRisk. This will combine non-disaster related data so that we can actually impact on the planning for the development of any capacity. So, we'll ask our staff to maybe set a meeting with you or invite you to speak. And I'm pretty sure that your advocacy will be fully supported by NASC, especially so that NASC has been very active now in really advising the country in terms of the various aspects of SNT and development.
Thank you, sir. Very waiting. Just let me know when.
Dr. Levin, thank you. Congratulations. I have a quick question. Among the, not the policymakers, government officials, but say the fisher folk, general citizens, do you think climate change denial or skepticism is a problem in the Philippines?
Actually, sir, baliktad. The fishers, they accept it. They accept, kasi nakikita nila eh. For example, the bahay kupos that they built near the coast before, di naman nila tinayo yun na mababasa yung kanilang papag, diba? Tinayo nila ang dry land. And yet now, pag high tide, nababasa na sila. Even their barangay halls, inundate na. So sila, they observe locally na things are changing. Ang skepticism, sir, I think yung mga hindi malapit sa nature. Kasi, di ba, abstract sa kanila eh. Pero basta fishers, ang galing talaga. Ang dali kausap. Ang mahirap lang sa kanila, sir, is how they remember time. So you say, okay, so did this happen? When was the last storm event, or when did you last that accumulated? It's hard for them to tell you the date. But then we started asking them, sino yung presidente? They remember. And then they started remembering, actually, alam ko pa ano yun eh, kasal ni ganito. Kasi nag-usap-usap sila, oo, so alam mo yung exact date kasi naalala nila by things that happened in the local community. And then we would check in the database, tama sila, exacto yung date. Diba? So it's just that the dialogue has to take into consideration yung community language, yung experience.
Thank you.
Yes, good evening, Dr. Lara David, and congratulations for this award of yours. And I would like to know, because when I went to Coron, Palawan, yung Palawan mismo, nagkakaroon ng flat. But of course, in Coron hindi. Ang ganda-ganda ng paligid. Pero of course, merong mga text messages coming from Globe na merong malakas na matinding pagbabaha. So I think some of us have received also those. So for example, in Coron, if in case something happened like that, an impact like climate change, which is I think happened na sa Palawan, what would be the alternative way of living or livelihood of those people living in Coron, especially tourism ang napakagandang paraan para mabuhay sila?
Salamat po sa tanong. Kung aalalain na po natin ang ating Bakuran, Usayan, saka ang ating mga mangrove, yun ay magbibigay sa atin ng paraan. Hindi lang para panatilihin yung ating pagkain, pero pati yung livelihood, including tourism. Kasi the invitation that we're talking about na aabot ng mga 0.5 meter to 1 meter about at current rates ay may mga ilang dekada na. So, as that transitions, but kung mag-iiba man, ay magkakaroon din ng panibagong pamumuhay. Pero yung kaagad-agad, hindi naman kung ang pag-usapan natin ay sea level rise or even the warming. Yun lang bagyo. Yung bagyo, alam naman natin, pag dumating siya na mag-repeat ka, for a while, your life definitely will change. So, all the life will na. Ang maganda, sir, sa storya na nakikita namin yun. So, we did one student of mine who I co-supervised, pero it's really Dr. Aliquan of Dasal who supervised the student, Dr. Carlson. May maganda siyang ginawa, which is to look at ano yung mangyayari sa Bakura, specifically din sa Palawan with climate change. And there are also winners, not just losers. So there are species na makakamatay kasi hindi nila kaya yung pag-environment. But there are species that are rare ngayon na actually they prefer the environment. So magsa-thrive. So kung ako turista, kahit nagpunta na ako sa Coron at nakita ko na lahat, actually, in a few years, kung may kapag-balik siya. So, pwede din siyang take advantage ng tourism industry, fishing industry, for as long as aalagaan siya habang nagbabago siya. Because nature naturally adapts. Except that, pag sinamahan mo yun ng pollution, sinamahan mo yun ng reclamation, hindi na siya makakita. So, maganda yung paper ni Doc Ann. Ang ganda yung lalawak yung area na itong mga rails. So I think that's something that the Department of Tourism should do.
Congratulations again, Laura. Of course, some of your slides I've been using in my lectures on Blue Economy when invited by the different agencies of the government and even by HEIs and so on. One thing that we have been proposing is citizen science. So, how do you propose to have this more used by communities especially? We have started this in some areas, but how do you propose to have this disseminated more strategically? Thank you.
Kagaya din, ma'am, ng paano yung long-term pagtuturo sa isang lugar. I think the answer is to talk to the teachers. In high school, kasi sila yung andun, mainstay sila, and generations yung nagtuturuan. We've started doing that nationally. To talk to the HEIs. Binibigyan namin ng tool yung mga higher learning institutes, just like the citizen science manual. The manual itself is actually not for the fishers. It's for the HEIs to use as they dialogue with the fishers. So yung mga examples doon na pwede nilang gamitin, pwede nilang translate to lingua franca nila, yung local, kasi ngayon nasa English. And para rin, pag nitanong yung local community, fishers, synergy, ang tatungan yung HEIs. Hindi lang Manila-centric, hindi lang dito yung tatungan. So I think yun yung number one. HEIs all over the Philippines need to be engaged. Tapos, give them tools. So aside from the manuals, na meron naman through the decades na nilalaman sa manual, pero ang gear kasi towards different stakeholders. So ngayon, ang inaano namin is para maturuan nila yung use. You also develop technologies that will help them. So USC, for example, has sponsored the development of ARAS and FishEye. ARAS is a rapid relief assessment. So, imbis na isang tao, kailangan diaper ka pa, lalaman ka pa ng kaya mo lang 300 meters a day, si Aras, itutungo mo lang sa backpack, kukunan na niya yung picture, tapos makikita mo na yung ilalim, stitch na niya. At ngayon, this is Dr. Michael Soriano, kaya niya ng 30 kilometers a day. And then, she's about to release dito sa mangyayaring Philippine Association of Marine Science Conference. She's about to release a new software that goes with that automatically classifies this. No? So, bigyan mo sila tool. Hindi na nila kailangan diver. Hila-hila sa bangka. May sagot na sila. Ano yung tsura ngayon? Ano yung tsura after nitong ang bagyo? Ano yung tsura pag nagkaroon ng oil spill? Masasagot na nila. Then yung FishEye is also UST sponsored. Yun naman is that. And so there's about maybe 30 fish sessions in the Philippines. Mga isang dosena o lang po yung pagkakatiwala ko ng buhay ko. Yung pag-inisip mo sa sabi, anong style mo masasagot ka ang pag-inisip natin? But we have so much to cover, 26,000 kilometers of coastline. So we need a tool that will help them. So yung FishEye, ginawa namin ni Sir Dr. Cross Naval, na ilalagay mo sa ilalim, and it will get the data, and then pag pinadala nyo sa aming data, automatic na siya sa servers, will identify the fish, will count it, will give you biodiversity and density. Ngayon po, may second product na yun. The second product is, pwede lang sa LGU mismo, yung what we call the black box. Automatically, it will ID the fish and count. Hindi na niya kaya ng biomass, hindi kaya ng power. So 2 regions, I think it's because of secretaries, marching orders, no? So 2 regional USPs have contacted us to get the black box. Para sa kanila na house, the LDs will just come to them to have it analyzed. So ganun po. So give them tools and then engage HEIs locally.
We'll be discussing these two products now. Of course, we wanted to have more sales out of it. But beyond the sales, sometimes challenging. How can we actually monitor the economic impact or the valuation of the application of these two systems beyond UP and MSI? No? Kasi sino naman ang naging economic impact nila? That's what we're trying to do. So maybe you can also, maybe later on in your studies, think of what ways we can actually do the valuation Kasi my thinking is that if the scientific community can show to the government and the private industry the importance of this in terms of the money, more resources can be given back to us. That's really my logic behind things. Gusto talaga maipakita yung practical na aplikasyon ng science at teknolohiya for our economic development at the LGU level and of course at the national level. So, yun yung kailangan siguro natin makita, mapagtulungan din.
Thank you, sir. Also, right now, it is a business. Yeah. The patent is owned by UP and there's a business. Pero mas maganda na yung show that value. Sige, sir.
Good morning po. Kathy Cruz from Lizette Salangati, Kalipunan. What inspired you to focus on ocean remote sensing and coastal erosion?
Nung nasa grad school pa po ako, yung aking advisor, Dr. Berger, had this yellow pen of all the things that he wished he could do. And he gave me the list and said, ano dyan ang interest mo? At that time, I was taking courses both in physical oceanography, biological oceanography, and remote sensing. And there were 2 projects there that I knew could only be answered using remote sense images because it's too big otherwise. So, I like big picture things. You look at things from afar so that you see in a bigger scale. So, nung nakita ko yung dalawang problems na yun, sabi ko, sige, pili ka dyan. So, we made a proposal to national NSF sa US. And we were able to do one of them. It was in best interested sila gumit in Mexico. So I was in Mexico, but I hated learning Spanish language. I was forced to use it in Mexico. I wanted it to be there. Kasi sa tingin ko, mas applicable siya pag bumalik ko sa Pilipinas. Kesa if I had a problem that was in the US, walang tawag 30 degrees north. So daya, diba? Whereas sa Mexico, kagaya ng Philippines setting, cloudy, seasonal. So I focused on that. I think the answer kasi the core of the answer is kasi it's at that time very few people were doing it and I knew it could help a lot for the Pilipinas. Kasi data poor tayo. So remote sense data could supplement our ground data quite a lot. So, yun yung nag-atrasa.
Thank you, ma'am. Last question na lang po. As Director of UPMSI, what is your long-term vision for marine science research in the Philippines?
Ay, good question. We just did a workshop on strategic workshop on research. And we realized that we have a lot of research that stayed as publications and went to work as. So ang goal ay para ang Pilipinas tumampas pa, maging talagang tayo ang gitna ng marine biodiversity ng buong mundo pagdating sa tropical warming. So dapat tayo rin ang sentro ng maraming bagay na marine. Pero in order to do that, it can't be, it can't be MSI asking money from the UST and then waiting for the process to do our research when we know it's going to hit now. It has to be a national strategy from research to product, whether the product is policy or a product that you can sell or a product that will lead to an industry. Dapat ganun na yung usapan. So there has to be a national strategy. For example, medicine. Alam natin, from biodiversity, you will get a lot of bioavailable products. There's industrial and medical applications. Why is it na hanggang ngayon, pag-aaralan namin, maybe get a patent, maybe get a small-scale field. Bakit? When nanakawin lang siya ng international pharma. And they'll run away with it. Why don't we do the farm? But then, a lot of private industries are actually winning. But ang laking investment nun eh. That's where the government comes in. You do the infrastructure, you do the policy that will encourage the private industry to get into the whole chain. And then once that's set up, the privates will come in. So they know there's money there. They know that there's products there. Tapos the discovery is here. And there's an additional advantage kung medical discovery. Ikaw naka-discover, ikaw naka-produce, first dibs ka. So, yan sila, continuation disease, for example, anti-tumor, anti-TB, anti-cancer, everything. And yet, we don't have the product. So, kailangan yun yung sana na, hindi na patingi-tingi, but we look at it from a national point of view, all the way to a product.
Can I respond? Kasi gano'n na kami.
Ayun po yun.
Yeah. I think that's the policy. I think what needs to be done is for the universities as well to now adopt. I've seen this policy change in many universities, but sorry to say, I think the government-funded universities are slower than the private ones. but for example, in De La Salle, we just approved them and we pass it on to PESA to develop the knowledge innovation science and technology parks. So I think it is also the university that needs to adjust. But anyway, as a support, for example, we announced a big R&D and S&D program last February. Biologics and pharmaceutical is one. Smart agriculture is one. AI, data analytics, Industry 4.0, quantum technologies and computing, circular economy. All of these are very related to what NSI is doing. And I think we just need to have more dialogue. Kasi nandiyan na yung, in fact, at DOST, we created an office on commercialization. And we created a program Propel, to really make your technologies be accessible to potential investors and capitalists. It's already going on. So the infrastructure is there. What needs to be done is to really link this up with industry. We have developed a tie-up with the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So, nandiyan na yung ingredients. We just need to implement together with the rest of the scientific community. Thank you.
Salamat sa leadership.
Congratulations, Professor. So, at MSI, we had the Marine Protected Areas Program that was established with Academician Perry and guidance from National Scientist Developments. So, are we growing this? Are we making the communities? Are we interacting with them? I know about a few dozen are doing well among the 80 that we identified over time. The second program that exists that would not be this national agenda would be that we implement our professional master's program, Tropical Ecosystems Management, which is intended for community leaders, for government agency leaders, as well as for academia. So, can you just briefly tell us how these two programs would contribute to addressing climate change issues in the coastal communities?
Thank you, Patricia. Yes, talagang kailangan itulak natin ang mga protected areas that was started way back in Academician Alcalay, Academician Perry, and Natural Scientist Ed Gomez. No? Ang medyo pinupush natin ngayon ay hindi na mag-concentrate sa coral reef. Isama na si seagrass, si meadows, at si mangroves. We've seen, studies have shown that if they can be found within 2 to 5 kilometers of each other, the biodiversity and resilience of that area is actually higher. So we need to start incorporating that in the development of marine protected areas. So we're now incorporating that in the what you call the PMPM, the professional masters. So that's part of their studies now. It's part of their lectures and their special projects to start looking at things not just from like a coral reef centric, but also start incorporating everything all the way actually to the watershed. Because we've also seen that if you protect everything at the coast, but you let the watershed go, everything, when the storms come, all the sedimentations and also end up at the marine protected area. And everything that you work for can actually be lost in just one event. So yun, so all the, ano po sa kanang watershed na talaga, each to be managed and family.
I know you're getting tremendous support from DOST, and I think you will get more. Ang tanong ko ay, what kind of support are you getting from the Department of Agriculture and DENR? Because itong dalawang ito ang talagang nakikita ko so many complex problems and my feeling is that if you approach them and you get support, I think you can go many miles more. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ang DNR po very open at the moment to studies related to from the region watershed all the way to the coast. Major issues specific lang sila at the moment. So if it's about Manila or site-specific like Manila Bay, or they want to know what's going to happen to certain mining areas, or they want to know what's going to happen in biodiversity of certain sites. Pero very much willing to engage and also support the research and listen to the results. Ang DA po, sa DA BFAR, DA NFRDI, and DA BAR, silang tatlo ay bibigay din naman ng research work, hindi lang sa MSIP, sa iba-ibang HCIs. Again, to do issue-specific research. A lot po has to do with commodities. Kasi yun naman sila, commodities naman sila. So if they want, what would be a value to agriculture, yeah, consider na. And they do look at inputs, not just ano yung results, but kung sino ang bibigyan ng pondo kasi sila yung pinakamakasagot. So we've also done studies ng iba-ibang institutes, all released to just 32 institutes all over the Philippines who look into marine problems. There's now 35. So tinitingnan mo namin yung sinasabi namin din sa DA, lalo na sa DA part, kung sino yung magandang engage nila. So hindi lang siya duty-centered, for example. So open naman po. I think yung sinabi ni Secretary, I think we could dialogue with that. I think that's important.
Thank you very much. Maybe we can entertain just last one question. And due to the time constraint, for those who wish to ask questions to Dr. Lau, I think she's staying after the floor. We can directly approach her. Maybe we can have this last one question from.
Yes, good morning po ma'am, and I guess Lydia from PWD. My question po is, what will you do with your research grant from yours?
My research grant, good question. Nasayahan ako na may research grant ka na proposal. So we were thinking of doing a marine spatial planning. Knowing all the data that we have, all the other data sets para sinabi niyo, sir. We wanted to do marine spatial planning and actually identify yung industries under the blue economy that will thrive in specific areas and use that as a recommendation to the RDAs, the regional development agencies, para matulungan sila ng trajectory of development. Yun po yung balik na.
That's very good kasi we actually had grouped the different regions according to their priorities. But it will be implemented all over the country. Pero dapat may leader. So the Visayas group is the Blue Economy Group. Central Visayas, kasi nandun yung mga critical eh. But it's not only the fish, but maritime, ecotourism, everything. With sustainability. So we'll wait for the proposal.
Thank you very much. Very good po.
Just one.
Kasi po, Mama.
Yeah, I'd like to mention that Laura and I have written 3 papers on the blue economy, and that would be a step further than the papers that we did at Bangladesh.
Thank you. Again, for those who have further questions, because of the time constraint, we cannot entertain them anymore. If you have further questions, please approach Dr. David after the event. And thank you very much, Dr. Laura David. Let's give her a big round of applause. It was a very wonderful talk and a very insightful discussion. I think we learned a lot from her talk.